per usual, living on this channel is for educational purposes only. It is not intended as financial advice. It is Setup Sunday here, Easter Setup Sunday. Last Friday we had no legacy trading for Good Friday. This week, however, we have full 5 days of trading. The big legacy number to watch this week will be employment, ADP in the middle of the week, and then official unemployment at the end of the week. That's certainly going to move rate expectations up or down if it is high or low, depending on how that number comes in. So we'll keep in touch for that. On the crypto side, on the Bitcoin side, we did have a positive week of flows. We had a gradual reduction of GBTC outflows here. And at the end of the day, there is only so much they can keep selling because there's only so much left in that trust. So yes, they have a lot of BTC left, but that can't continue forever. So that's the good news. Much of that is being sold and buying BTC, and then will be distributed most likely to Gemini Earn people. We've got Gox coins. We've got FTX at the end of the year. There's going to be a lot of stuff churning around. It would be the ultimate irony if FTX is born, implodes, and distributes back coins to people before Mt. Gox. Okay. Would love to see a polymarket bet on that one. But back to the flows, we look good. As far as any inflow day is a great day, right? Any inflow week is a great week. And thus far, this has pretty much been retail investors. This has not been large institutions. This has not been model portfolios. Average trade size for IBIT, somewhere around 13 grand. And what's interesting about that number is the multi-year Roth IRA contribution is around that value, $13,000. So much of this demand could be coming from those type of tax exempt products or tax deferred, however you want to think about that in the IRA case, but we'll take it, right? It's a big tent. Everybody's welcome, large and small, retail and otherwise. It's a global tent. We've got ETFs coming in Asia. We've got more products coming in Europe, in the UK, in London. The more, the better. The more decentralized, the better. The more distributed, the better. The more custodians. Let's take it, right? It's all here. We can absorb it all. More demand should bring price higher. That's just what it is at the end of the day. If there's a narrative in the story for owning the asset, people will want to buy it. And this is going to be the next headline. We've got wirehouses. So the wealth management firms, how they connect to these assets would be through a wirehouse, okay? As Matt Hogan at Bitwise says here, trillions of dollars in assets. By June, this isn't going to happen instantly. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's the next thing to watch for, along with the 13F filings in April. And I think the rest of the quarter, probably, I think those can be delayed, but those are large firms saying they own X percentage of shares of IBIT, for example. Nobody wants to be first, but nobody wants to be last either. So to see those start to roll out, if you are a pension fund or if you are a specific type of asset manager and you're looking to your left and looking to your right, and there are a few other asset managers who are buying IBIT, that's going to perk people's ears up as well. So it's really hard to see a downside here with the ETFs because the regulatory clarity is better than it's ever been. Access is better than it's ever been. And based on the debt situation globally, you could argue the need for hard assets is probably up there, okay? And we just will continue to win. On top of that, we have our own crypto native people who are buying BTC. This is the Tether wallet. Now, we don't know when they buy this BTC, if it's throughout the quarter. I don't think they buy it all in one day, okay? But they did move around 89,000 BTC into their wallet today, 3/31, what will likely be their quarterly purchase. And we'll know for certain when they release their quarterly report. But that's what the previous amounts have looked like. So that is more supply soak. We, of course, have Michael Saylor, who's continuing to buy BTC hand over fist. That's likely going to continue to happen. He is up a cool 7.6 billion on that position. His DCA value is 35.3K, so he's up quite a bit. And of course, the MSTR BTC ratio is at an extreme. There are some people, Punter Jeff comes to mind, the guy on Twitter, who thinks that this is a GME moment and it's going to infinity, and MSTR is going to go much higher. This ratio is going to go much higher. Maybe, I'm not on that train. So good luck to those people. But I can't personally buy MSTR up here with the ratio like it is. But if things get crazy, which they have in the past, then maybe this ratio just gets blown out, to some extreme. Everybody's shorting this, longing BTC, whatever pair trade is going on here. They get all blown out. There's some massive short squeeze, right? All that's possible. But we really don't want to see that happen on the BTC side. Now, I don't think a lot of money is shorting MSTR anymore. There was one firm last week who said that they were. But if they get blown out, then that means they close the long end leg of their trade, and that's going to hurt us on the spot side. So something in the periphery to think about. Back to ETFs. For ETH, I don't think May is going to happen for ETH. It's going to happen eventually, whether it's August or 2025 or 2026 or whenever, right? It's going to happen eventually. And if you're honest with yourself and you're not an ETH maxi, we want these to be staggered. We want dominance in BTC to be so obvious that, yes, there's some sort of ETH BTC rotation to do, or dominance in Solana, that there's eventually some Sol ETH rotation. Okay. Now, Larry Fink of BlackRock is coming out saying, look, even if ETH is a security, we can still make it an ETF. So if Larry wants it, Larry's going to get it eventually, one way or the other. So that's good news for the ETH ETF. We also have Fidelity adding staking. Now, BlackRock hasn't added staking to their ETF yet, but that's something to watch for. I don't think this signals that Fidelity thinks this is going to get approved. I just think, they just know it's not going to get approved and don't really care one way or the other. As far as the market on the ETH ETF approval odds, this is the live ETH discount, which continues to increase and has so since mid-March. So if this starts to curl up without any major headlines, then I think you can get a little bit more optimistic. But right now, I think the default view is we probably do not see approval in May. And you can thought this out, right? Like, let's say, I think May 24th is the day. Maybe we see a spike down between, May and August, right? For example, I think the BlackRock deadline is sometime in late August. So maybe the window to buy ETH as a trade idea would be somewhere between May and August. And what you'd be looking for is a spike, probably sub 30% or something on the discount. But as of now, I don't think this is a trade that makes much sense with ETH ETF approval odds where they are, right? You've got Bitwise filing for an ETF. So everybody's, it's Bitcoin all over again with the ETFs. So these will likely get approved. It may take a court case from Grayscale and others. It may take a denial, right? But it's going to happen eventually. I just wouldn't get your hopes up super soon. This also from Bitwise talking about the futures versus spot rationale on correlations, basically using the same evidence that got the Bitcoin ETF approved. So this certainly helps ETH's case. But the thing is, the SEC can come back at you and bring a new argument and just deny it, right? That's why I think this may end up in court again. Before we talk about Bitcoin seasonality, let me mention today's video sponsor, Kraken Pro. Kraken Pro is a complete overhaul of the Kraken trading experience with a one-stop shop for advanced and professional traders. Kraken Pro enables efficient trading execution across multiple markets with a UI that allows for unique optimization tailored to your trading style. You can check out Kraken Pro with the link in the description of this video. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payward Ventures, Inc., PVI, DBA, Kraken. So I've been talking about Ocean BTC quite a bit, just because I have this up and I look at this every day. Another chart that will probably take weeks, if not months, to play out is Maker. They've got some RWA stuff. They've got some USDE Athena stuff. I'm not going to go into that in this video, but this is another type of chart to watch. Set an alert for 056, 057, something like that. Maker on the USD pair looks phenomenal still. So this is one chart that maybe if rates come down, maybe if staking becomes more palatable relative to real rates, maybe if the rates for DeFi pick up a little bit, Maker starts to do better, just as an ultra long-term trade idea. So for seasonality, Q1 came in at about 69%. Last year, almost just as much at 72. Last year, we did have a quarter-over-quarter positive streak, which happens not so often, but isn't saying that can't happen again. It's happened before. Q2 is generally the most positive of all the quarters. And for ETH specifically, I'm not bullish ETH, as I just stated for reasons. I'll talk about Sol in a second, but ETH's best quarter is Q2. So if there's ever a time for ETH to do anything based on seasonality, it would be this next upcoming 3 months. I think it will be green along with Bitcoin, but on a relative basis, right? Even last quarter was negative for ETH BTC. Quarter before that was negative. Quarter before that was negative. Quarter before that was negative. Quarter before that was negative, right? The last time ETH BTC has come out ahead was Q4 2022. So I think there will be a Sol rotation trade. There will be a Bitcoin rotation trade. I think that will probably time around ETF approvals, whenever that is. But on a relative value, I think it's a very tough trade right now for ETH. But Q2 should be a good quarter. For ETH, as far as the monthly returns, April typically more positive than not for Bitcoin. May is more of a mixed bag. June, a little bit more positive. And for ETH, April has been very positive, as has May. So seasonality, again, it's very, very favorable for a positive return on ETH. It's just, if we go back to the ETF argument, the inflows, warehouses, more ETFs, right? On a relative product basis alone, right? Then Bitcoin wins pretty easily. So it's going to be hard for ETH BTC to do well this quarter, is my prediction. One thing that worried me with prices creeping up a little bit is funding. Now, funding isn't the end all be all. We can continue to scream on funding if people think we're bullish. If people think we're bullish because we're coming into a Monday and Monday has been bullish for the past X weeks, right? People are going to take leverage bets on that. If they think we're about to see a volatility event, people are going to take leverage bets on that. But this does give us a fuse in a sense, right? There's a timing component here where we can't stay this high forever on funding without going somewhere. So what makes me nervous is to see funding creep up this much with price going nowhere. So this is sort of a promise that we have to go higher or things get interesting with this amount of leverage starting to unravel. My bets are currently higher, so I'm not super concerned, but it's definitely one thing to pay attention to here. Here's funding across the top assets, and you can see we're starting to creep into the expensive yellow territory on a lot of these. Orange on Doge with, some of the meme stuff. That's just the nature of the beast, but funding starting to get a little hotter up here. On the Bitcoin TA side, I have this 333,000 price target in my Twitter handle, and that's based on the power law corridor, which was kind of set in motion for a few months at this point. I mean, as long as we held this low, that's all it really takes to be semi-convinced that this is going to likely attempt a move somewhere in the 300,000s. It's a number. It sounds insane, but that's the target. That's one of the reasons why I'm denominated heavily in BTC and continue to do so on the 2-year moving average multiplier, currently at 156. That's going to continue to move up over time, but this also looks very good. Daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly candles, those all look great. I mean, there's no way you can look at this and be bearish. You just can't. I mean, I hope people are. I hope people are trying to short this at all-time highs, but I'm not one of them. The most worrying thing intraday here is the funding piece. On low time frames on the cloud, we are holding above the 4-hour. We've got a cup and handle going in for us. Post inverted head and shoulders, we've got an ascending triangle and an Adam and Eve in the handle. I mean, all this stuff continues to suggest bullish continuation to me. Now it's going to be interesting on Monday if everything sells down to like sub 70 or thereabouts, just to try to flush out some people and then move up from there. So I think you definitely have to be cognizant of that. I'm talking to myself here. If we do flush down lower overnight or something, I wouldn't want any resting stop losses all the way down here, just because with funding, that looks very ripe to me for the market to try to bring that down. But if we make higher highs, if we make all-time highs, new all-time highs, then I would expect to move throughout the month to around 80. I think that could happen probably within 2 weeks if the flows are extremely positive. But what's interesting is if we start to break all-time highs, flows will be positive, most likely, right? That'll just bring more people in. The cloud doesn't love this on the 4-hour. All of the cloud metrics are bullish. The problem with this on the 4-hour is momentum is still flat. So the TK lines are still very separated. And you see that most definitely on the daily with this TK disequilibrium still. So that also worries me a little bit. Now we had that the whole run up last quarter, 2 quarters ago. but never to this degree. So once again, this just says we kind of need to get the show on the road here, or we risk mean reversion to 58. Now, if we are blessed with a bearish TK cross at 70, which will be, if 2 weeks from now we don't do anything, we will get a bearish TK cross up here. That would be a strong suggestion to get out of any longs, to get out of any spot positions, which is crazy based on where I think price is going, but that's what the cloud would suggest. So we'll see what happens. But in the moment, I see this and I'm a little nervous on the daily. 4 hour still looks great to me though. So as long as we can hold above 71, we should pretty easily start to see highs. The next immediate target would be 73 to 74 based on the fibs of the handle, if you want to go down to those timeframes. So next stop is essentially the previous all-time high in March. For Sol, we'll skip ETH for now, but for Sol has had a 4 hour bullish TK cross recross for over about a week now, we'll call it. On top of that, again, it has this ascending triangle Adam and Eve stuff that I've seen a bunch in crypto. It still looks very bullish to me. The ultimate stop loss on this would be the Kijun down here at 186. So we don't want to see any closes below that. We don't want to break, this consolidation structure. The immediate target for this ascending triangle would be around 209 to 218. And then beyond that, we can take fibs and we can fib out the recent move high to low. I know this is getting messy, but 277 to 320, which I think would be a new all-time high for Solana at that point. So very much if this, then that. You'll notice on the daily cloud, the TK separation isn't as extreme as Bitcoin. So I think Solana still looks very good. ETH on the 4 hour also looks bullish, looks like it's leaning bullish. If we just measure the recent consolidation higher, that would basically be the next yearly pivot, 4,500 to 48. So definitely not out of the cards. I just think at a relative value, this is going to lag both Solana and Bitcoin, most likely. The ETH maxis don't care. I know that. But if you're a trader, you should care because there's just better trades out there, right? Now, let's say Solana breaks out, then Bitcoin breaks out, ETH is lagging, and then maybe ETH breaks out. That's the best case, again, to have all this sort of go asynchronous and not in tandem, because then you can take profit on the Sol trade and rotate into ETH, right? That's ideal as a trader. So this to me still looks like it has more time. Cloud's not bullish yet. And the structure here, isn't as forthcoming with anything. I wouldn't think this would act as a rising wedge, but that's something to watch for throughout the week. ETH BTC on the weekly, below the cloud, and it has a death cross coming up on the weekly. I think the level that makes the most sense eventually is going to be something around 04. Anything below 035 or something would probably have to take a significant market event, a significant capitulation event. It would probably have to take the shape of something like 2018. We would have to see validators unlocking. We would have to see people losing their religion on ETH. Something dramatic would have to happen, I would think. I do think this is going to break down from this level, and it's most likely to find support 03, 035, 04, right? I think that's most likely. But this is in no way, shape, or form bullish whatsoever. If this gets back above the highs at 06, then I can be more convinced. But this has been bearish for a significant period of time. It continues to look bearish. Probably most importantly for ETH isn't ETH against Bitcoin, but ETH against Solana. Just because this looks, to me, extremely bullish. You can call it a cup and handle. You can call it rising three methods. It's not exactly that, but whenever you see this structure in the candles where you have a down move within the previous body of a bullish candle, this would represent something like a rising three methods, maybe on the monthly or something. Yeah, similar. So this looks to me very much like bullish continuation. And I think the bottom for ETH BTC may be in once we get to like 0.1 on Sol ETH, because at that point, I think we will probably see some rotation. I think beyond 0.1 on this, this is like a quarter viewpoint. This isn't going to happen overnight, but I think beyond 0.1, and again, something dramatic would have to happen in the market where ETH is targeted specifically with some sort of regulatory problem or something. But I think Sol ETH as a group are more comparable than ETH BTC. As far as some alt stuff that I still like on the cloud on the weekly, again, I keep talking about this. I know I sound like a broken record, but there's some metaverse type stuff AXS, Mana, Flow, Sand, NFT, whatever this is, I don't know. Call it what you want. All that looks great on the cloud. Filecoin still looks great on the cloud. Algo still looks great on the cloud. Do any of these hit their targets this cycle? I don't know. But from a bottom perspective, they continue to look very good with a bullish reversal expectation. On the legacy side, still concerned about the dollar. If there's anything that can put a cold shower on our party here, it's going to be the DXY breaking out. It looks to me more and more like this is going to break out. The rest of the world is going to be cutting rates before we are, most likely, and that's going to help push DXY higher. The bearish influences on risk, specifically gold and Bitcoin, may not matter as much to a point. So maybe we can afford something to 107, but anything past that, for example, then that's where the real pain comes in. But it's definitely something I'm continuing to watch here. And the S&P still has just this screaming 45 plus degree angle channel. Certainly not bearish outright. It's at all-time highs. I get it. It looks fine-ish, right? Something else to watch is RSI, which continues to coil. So this could actually break up. This could break up to 45.50. Sorry, 54.50 would be the level that this could break up to. Cloud's still okay. There's possibility of rolling over to 4,600, 4,700 still in the cards, but you have to see some weakness first. You can't just short all-time highs. So this still looks plenty fine to me. And then on the Qs, also very similar. Just kind of a giant bear div, this whole thing. The cup and handle target would be around 500. So even this looks okay. I think for us on the crypto side, it's actually best that the high caps here in legacy land and TradFi land aren't screaming to me that these things are rotatable. They look tired to me. They look like momentum is slowing, and it's much easier to grab a bid on the crypto side if legacy is slowing down. Something else that's screaming is gold. Gold is continuing to put in all-time highs here, and that is very good for the crypto side. If we are digital gold, we are in hyperspeed on the percentage gains relative to what happens in gold land, but the narratives for us on Bitcoin at least are similar. So the multi-year inverted head and shoulders target would be 2,500, which I think we could very well see this month. So it's very bullish for us on the crypto side. And then on the Mag 7, we can go through these individually, but there's really nothing to me here that looks good, right? There's Google, I think, that looks the best. That was Apple. Looks just meh. Microsoft looks fine. The cloud says it's fine, right? There's no reason this can't keep going, but it's not at a point like it was at 350 post consolidation breakout. This could go higher based on the cup and handle again, but not much higher, just based on the chart pattern. Nvidia starting to look a little more tired as well. There's certainly a bear div on that. You can't short all-time highs, but we are starting to see rotation into the laggards in IWM and the lower caps. We'll save Google for last. Tesla still looks abysmal to me. Again, unless this is above the daily cloud, why bother? There's just no point. Let this chop around. Just doesn't make sense to me. Meta also looking very tired up here. Another TKC clamp, 436 would make sense to me based on the yearly pivot. Netflix also looking tired on this miniature channel up here. Looks like it's starting to roll over already. Amazon to me is second to Google. It looks fine. There's a bit of a rising wedge up here. There was a bit of a stalled momentum. It's sort of hitting its inverted head and shoulders target soonish. So it looks okay. What I really like about Google from a technical perspective would be this cup and handle. Just an absolute mess of a handle. It tapped the 200-day. And the upside here on a percentage basis is just so much more than anything else in the Mag 7. Now, I don't know if the entire market drags Google down with it, but if I had to bet on one of them, it would be this one, just based on where this could go around 200. So all in all, on the crypto side, we're still very, very bullish. Seasonality is in our favor here. And the biggest thing to watch for is funding and obviously flows, which I tweet out every day at the end of the day. That's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.